Hi, this is Massimo and welcome to the second QLC Plus video tutorial. This time I'm going to show you how to add some fixtures to your project, also called workspace. This is the page, the panel that you see when you open QLC Plus, and that's exactly where fixtures will go. I'm gonna start adding some basic fixture, and I'm gonna click on the plus button to add some. As you can see on the list, on the left you can see a list of ready-made fixtures. If you find the one you're going to use, then it's really straightforward. If you don't, then you can always create a new one, and you are very welcome to submit it to the QLC Plus community forums. So I'm going to start adding some very basic fixtures, which is a par, an RGB par. So when I click on a fixture here, it will display some information on the right, starting from the name and the modes supported by this fixture. In this case, there is only one mode, and so it's very simple. Another thing that I can choose here is the universe where I want to place my my fixture. As we saw in the tutorial number 1, I've set up two universes, one going out through a DMX USB interface and one through ArtNet. So I've got two universes to choose from. Then I can decide from which DMX address to start. Consider that a universe is composed by 512 addresses in total, so you need to manage to fit your fixtures in a universe depending on how many channels each fixture have, and how many of them you want to add, and how many blank DMX addresses you want to leave. So I'm gonna start from address, for example, 5, and here as you can see, the channels field is disabled because this is a ready-made fixture, so I cannot change the number of channels here, but I've got the list showing how this fixture is composed. So I've got a dimmer and RGB channels, 4 in total. If I want to add more than one fixture at the same time, I can tune these parameters down here, so the quantity. So I'm gonna add 5 of these pars, and I can decide how many blank addresses to leave between them. This is very important in some cases, for example for lasers or for some moving heads, and you are invited to read on your manual about this fact, because some fixtures really need this to be set. For example, I've got some lasers that need at least 1 or 2 blank addresses between them if you're using more than one laser of the same type. So please read your instruction manual and see if this is needed or not. Just to give you an example, I will leave 2 empty addresses between my 5 pars. So if I'm happy with it and I'm done, I click on OK, and the 5 fixtures appear on my list. So QLC Plus did exactly what I asked for, so 5 pars of the same type on universe 1, and it calculated the addresses depending on the parameters I chose on the fixture panel. So if I click on one fixture, it will show me a summary of information about this fixture, and in particular the name, the manufacturer, the addresses, and the channels used, and the universe, and so on. Also the channel list and the physical information. In this case, as you can see, channel 1 is mapped on 5, on DMX address 5, channel 2 on 6, and so on. It's just a quick note about the deep switch representation. The deep switch is the one that you can find in every TMX product, and it sets the physical address that the product is going to use. This is the base address. So in my case, the fixture is starting from address 5. So this is the representation of address 5 in binary. A quick note about the 10th switch. Usually this switch is reserved for selecting the DMX mode of your fixture, of your product. So you need to read your manual to understand what is the meaning of the 10th switch. Usually when it's high, it means that your product supports the DMX control mode. Otherwise, when it's low, usually it's in automatic modes for and you have no control on it. So so if I'm happy with it, I can proceed to add some more fixtures. For example, I want to add some moving heads, and I pick a very basic moving head from American DJ. So again, I've got the name. In this case, I've got 2 modes, and I want to select, for example, the 9 channels mode. And you can see here that the channel list is changing. So let's expand this a little bit. So 8 channels and 9 channels. This time I'm gonna add them to Universe 2 through ArtNet, and I'm gonna start from address 1. I'm happy with it. Again, 9 channels. Here's the list, and I want to add them. Add 3 of them and leave just 1 address blank between them. I click on OK, and the new fixtures are added. As you can see, QLC Plus tried to sort them by address, and it's pretty messy right now, but I can sort them by universe, so it's logically cleaner. And as I can see on universe 2, now I have 3 fixtures starting from address 1 and exactly what I asked QLC Plus for. So if I'm going to use a lot of fixtures, like 50-60 fixtures, I might want to logically group them to quickly access them from this list. Imagine if I've got 60 fixtures here, I'm gonna scroll up and down all my time. So I want to group them, and just to give you an example, in my case I will group them by universe. So I select the fixtures I want to group, right click on it on the list, and I will add them to a group. In this case I have no groups except for all fixtures, which is a default group that you cannot delete or change. So I'm gonna add a new group, and I will call it universe 1. The size here is just a logical representation of the positioning of your fixtures. Just leave it for now, but it's just a grid that will appear on this group. So if I click on OK, the group is created, and in the group I've got my 5 bars. If I click on universe 1, here's the grid that I chose to have, and for example I can organize them by stage plan. So for example, if I've got a stage 9 meters wide for 6, for example, I can place my bars in logical positions. Like if this is the front of the stage, I can drag them, and I might have my fixtures here, let's say in this way. Same story for the moving heads. I might want to group them, so I select them, right click, and I will create a new group for them. So universe 2. Okay, so for example, if I want the same organization, I will have 9 by 6. Okay, universe 2 is here, and my moving heads, for example, are here, here, and here. Okay, and it's very simple. If I'm not happy with if I mistake something when I decided the addresses, or if I want to physically translate my fixture on the DMX universe, I can double click on a fixture or click on this button here, and I can edit them. So in my case, for example, I'm not happy about address 5, so I can go back to address 1, and that's everything's fine for QLC Plus. If I want to go beyond address 5, I can go to address 6 or 7, but I cannot go on address 8 because another fixture is occupying. It would interfere with the next fixture. So for example, 8 plus 4, it will mean that it will go over address 11. So this is not allowed. Overlapping fixtures are not allowed. So I'm gonna stick with my address 1. If I click OK, as you can see, the fixture has gone to address 1. So there's a big space here available. If you're going to use your fixtures in more than one project, you can import and export fixtures from QLC Plus. So with these two buttons here, so if I want, I can export this particular list I've created. So export, and I will write them to an existing file that I've created before. So just to show you how the import works and how it will shorten your project creation time, I'm gonna create a new project. I'm not gonna save this one, and I'm gonna import the list that I've just saved. Here it is. So as you can see, just a couple of clicks and I've got the same situation as before, very quickly and very easily. I'm gonna spend just a little word on some other types of fixtures. So for example, if I add this one, note that QLC Plus will calculate a new address for me where this particular fixture will fit. This has 12 channels, so it's gonna propose me address 33. If I'm not happy, I can always change it, let's say to 35. As you can see, this is a laser, and you can recognize the fixture easily by their icons here. Or if I want, I can add another type of fixture, which is a hazer. As you can see, hazers usually have a few channels, in this case 2 channels, and QLC will see that it fits on address 5. So if I'm happy with it, I click on OK, and as you can see, the hazer is here. You can recognize it from the icon, and it's gonna fit in addresses 5 and 6 because it's just 2 channels. So for now I'm gonna remove them. It's very easy. You can delete them from in the same way you can add them. Okay, it's gonna check for confirmation in case you did it by mistake. Okay, so the new fixtures are gone. Another little note on generic fixtures. When you open this panel, you might notice that the default is a generic fixture. What is this type of fixture? This is for historical reason representation of the old dimmers that were always DMX dimmers that were controlling non-LED fixtures, non-DMX fixtures. So for example, usually they were 4, 8 or more ways dimmers. So for example, as you can see here, I've got the channel field is enabled for this reason, because I can select how many channels my dimmer has. I'm gonna add it to universe 2, for example, on others 30, and when I click on OK, you can see that a new fixture with this particular icon, which is very generic, has been added to universe 2. This dimmer has no particular information because it's all intensity. It has only intensity channels. This is for let's say for particular cases where you have normal lamps that you want to control through DMX, that you can dimmer and want to control through DMX. Another case is for generic RGB fixtures. This is quite useful because it can map very easily RGB or RGB with a dimmer channel as a last channel, or RGB with a dimmer channel as the first channel. For example, in this case you've got dimmer RGB. If I click on OK, I will have the par icon here, because it's most likely will be a par, and it's here on address 5 to 8, and as you can see it's a dimmer, it's a color changer, and a dimmer with a par with a dimmer and 3 RGB channels. Okay, so one interesting thing that QLC Plus can do for you is to exclude some channels from the fade transitions. That means that in some cases when you will start to edit and create some scenes and chasers and so on, if you include some channels like motors or dimmers itself, dimmer channels themselves, you might not want to include them to fade transition. It doesn't really make sense to fade a motor value from 0 to 255 every time. You can do that, but sometimes it's not needed. So how to tell QLC Plus to ignore those channels when they are requested to be faded? You just select any fixture here and then click on this purple icon, which is channel fade configuration. This panel opens up, and here you can, as you can see, there's a list of all the fixtures grouped by universe. If I open one, I can see the channel list of my fixture, and for example, if I want to exclude, as I said, the motors from my moving heads, I will need just to uncheck these boxes here for the pan and the tilt. Since I have multiple fixtures of the same type, I've got 3 of them, I can speed up this process by checking this box, which will apply changes to fixtures of the same type. So if I deselect the pan and the tilt, QLC Plus will scan the whole list of fixtures, will find that I've got other 2 moving heads of the same type, and will deselect the channels for me. This is very easy and very straightforward. So if I'm happy with it, click on OK, and it will be saved into the project when you save the project, and those channels will be ignored when they are requested to participate to fade transitions. So let's move on to this other tab here, which are channels groups. Channels groups are very useful in editing mode. In fact, you cannot use them in operate mode. You can switch between editing and operate mode with this icon here. In my case, the default status of QLC Plus is the editing mode, and with this button I can switch to operate mode. So for example, I will need to create a lot of scenes with my RGB channels for my pars. So I need to create a group of my RGB channels, and this is the panel that does it for you. So I'm gonna create a new group. Again, I will have the list of all the fixtures by universe and all the channels they have. Again, I have this checkbox to speed up the creation of the group, so I'm gonna tick it. For example, I want to create a group for the red channels of all my pars, so I'm gonna click on red, and all my 5 pars will get the red channel selected. Note that the generic RGB is not as the same type of my pars here, so it will not get included. I'm gonna call it, for example, red group, and to speed up even more your editing in QLC Plus, you can also assign this group to an external controller fader or knob or whatever it is. As we've seen in the first tutorial, I've set up an OSC input, and I've got Touch OSC running on my phone. So if I auto detect what I'm moving on my external controller, QLC Plus will receive the signals and will assign it to this particular group. So right now I'm gonna move the fader one of OSC, Touch OSC, and QLC has grabbed it, and it's saying me that I'm gonna use the input on universe 1 with this mapping, which is Touch OSC mix 16, and the input channel is fader 1. If I'm happy with it, I just click on OK, and the group is created. So I've got a group with 5 channels because I've got 5 bars, and all the channels are the red channels. So I think that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.